Hi everybody, it's Jenny. I just made a whole video and there was no sound. Ugh. I got in my new webcam. I didn't like it at all. It looked no different than this one, so I'm going to send it back. But anyway, the audio got connected to that webcam and then I forgot it wasn't in this one and yeah, there we go. So I did a whole video for nothing. I'm going to go over numbers really quickly here first. I wasn't here yesterday. And yesterday I lost zero point 0.2. Today on the scale I gained zero point 0.1. So those 2 days aren't great. But let's go back and reflect for a second now. I had said on day 7 I was going to give you an update how I did because I feel like I'm losing weight, but okay, this same amount. When I look at day 7 is minus 7.7 pounds. And I uncharacteristically did not gain anything when I loaded. Again, I only loaded for one day, but the next day when I got on scale, I didn't gain anything. There's probably multiple reasons that can explain that. Maybe I had some water loss, maybe I had a bowel movement and I hadn't the day before. There can be multiple things that were going on. In general, I was eating very poorly and a lot leading up to that, which is why I only loaded one day because I did not need to do any extra loading. My body was at its saturated point in terms of calorie intake. So my numbers are true weight loss numbers. I don't have kind of the fake placebo effect of, well, I gained 5 pounds when I loaded. So when I lost 8 pounds, wow, you didn't really lose 8 pounds. You lost the 5 pounds that you gained during that loading. You've really only lost three. So I'm always usually doing those adjustment of numbers when I do these videos. But this round, these are true numbers because I gained nothing during loading. So in 7 days, I lost 7.7 pounds. That's amazing. Now, I do not expect that kind of progress to continue to happen on week 2. In general, when you kind of shock your system and you go into a new diet, whether it's calorie restriction or extraneous exercise or something, your body loses a lot at first and then kind of goes, whoa, are we in a starvation mode? Should I, back off a little bit? It's just kind of a natural ebb and flow of your body and your hormones. So I am hoping to lose 4 pounds again next week. Now, I'm 2 days into the second week, and that was yesterday and today, and I lost 0.2 and then gained 0.1. So I have a net loss of 0.1 in the first 2 days, which is now making 4 pounds seem like a difficult, achievable goal. But my goal is to still average a half a pound a day in this week number 2. So I'm going to keep plugging away and going at it. My eating wasn't fantastic. I will say that when I came home 2 days ago from getting my dose number 2 of Moderna, I was feeling okay. I was feeling fine. I was planning on taking a nap, taking some ibuprofen before laying down, but I had an uncanny craving for carbs, which I don't have at all on this diet at all. It was very weird. I couldn't explain it. I could have eaten every potato and piece of bread in the entire house. Like, I just wanted nothing but carbs. But I really wanted to get to bed because I also was tired from the night before and probably also from, the vaccine. And so I had about 6 wheat crackers. Maybe it was 8. I don't know. I'd have to make a stack again and kind of compare because I didn't count them. And I put butter on them and I ate that before I took my nap just to kind of satiate that craving and to make me not uncomfortable while I was sleeping. I have learned through all the different diets I've done over time that anytime you're doing a low carb diet and you know you're going to have something carby, you should always pair it with a fat. That helps keep your glycemic index from shooting up and your body producing a lot of insulin, which then leads to fat storage. So that's why I put butter on all the crackers because I thought I'm going to get some fats in here too. It was not margarine, not fake stuff. It was real butter. And I put butter on them and ate them, and it really kind of brought me down into that zen state of like, okay. And then I went to sleep and I'm fine, and I didn't crave any carbs today or yesterday. It was just that day of the vaccination. Very bizarre. How did I feel yesterday? I didn't have any reactions in terms of, fever, sweats, that kind of stuff. I felt odd. That's all I can say. I felt odd, and for some reason I had zero desire to have my taco again, even though I didn't have it the day before. Well, no, I did have it the day before. I had it later in the day. So I had those crackers, I had the taco later. I don't know why, but I didn't want it at all. So I decided to go with eggs. So I had 3 eggs. Again, this was just one meal. So this would be equivalent to like 1.5 eggs for each meal. But I had 3 eggs and a can of mushrooms. And I cut up about, I don't know, maybe 2 ounces of ham that was left over still from Easter. So I ripped off all the fat and all of the wonderful honey glaze kind of topping thing, pulled all that off. I don't know if it was actually a honey glazed ham. It was at my mother's house. She prepared it. But anyway, she sent me home with leftovers. And then I cut into small pieces and I added that. So I had a mushroom and ham with 3 eggs. I meant to make an omelet. Didn't become an omelet because I got distracted when I was cutting the ham, overcooked the eggs, turned into scrambled eggs. Overcooked scrambled eggs, really, once I mixed them all up. So I did sprinkle about 1/8 of a cup of mozzarella cheese on top to give it a little bit more flavor, and I did throw in a little handful of corn and a whole lot of salt and pepper. Now, that whole lot of salt and pepper probably affected my scale today. So my gain of point 0.1, although devastating, because you should never gain at all on this diet, it is point 0.1. I suppose if I would have completely stripped down to nothing, it would have been nothing. But then I want to keep everything pretty fair. And I usually have on like my pajama bottoms and a t-shirt when I get on the scales. I wanted it to be the same. I want them to be real numbers, and I don't want to like fudge and lie to everybody, and just let you know it is what it is. All right, so I mentioned that I had that extra salt yesterday. Let me read to you what it says in Dr. Simeon's protocol about salt. It says, while we are on the subject of salt, I can take this opportunity to explain that we make no restriction in the use of salt, yay, and insist that the patient drink large quantities of water throughout this treatment. We are out to reduce abnormal fat and are not in the least interested in such illusionary weight losses that can be achieved by depriving your body of salt. Though we allow the free use of salt, the daily amount taken should be roughly the same, as a sudden increase will of course be followed by a corresponding increase in weight as shown on the scale. An increase in the intake of salt is one of the most common causes for an increase in weight from one day to the next on the scale. Such an increase can be ignored, provided it is accounted for. It in no way influences the regular loss of fat. All right, so encouraging. He's saying you can ignore the fact if you know you've had a lot of salt the day before and your scale is you've lost nothing, or maybe you've even gained 0.1 pounds, you can ignore it as long as it's accounted for, meaning as long as you know exactly what this is related to. In general, if you have a weight gain, you should be concerned and start looking at what you need to change. But if you know you had an increase in salt, I woke up this morning, it was hard for me to make a fist with my hands, which is an indication of also water retention due to the amount of salt I had yesterday. So I'm not terribly concerned, but I never like to see a plus on the scale, ever. So hopefully I can readjust that in the next day or two. And the good news is you can eat as much salt really as you want. And even though the scale may go up and down based on water retention due to the amount of salt that you have in your body, none of this has any effect on your actual weight loss. Your body is still using the nutrients and taking the fat from your body, whether you have that extra water retention or not. So it's okay. So all of you saltaholics like me, who really like to salt things to get a little extra flavor, especially if you're eating something that's a little bit more bland on this diet. Like if I'm having a plain turkey breast that I'm just cutting up with like a little vegetables on it or something, I will salt the heck out of that thing. It makes it taste so much better. I haven't done that in a very long time, a plain turkey breast, but because I tend to like to mix the spices in and make turkey taco. But if you're doing that, rest assured, it's okay. And just be aware, if you're okay with seeing the scale go up and then down and then up and then down and it doesn't freak you out, then you can do it. If you're somebody who does freak out, then see to it that your amount of salt and sodium intake every day remains the same. Okay, that's it for today. I'll be in touch with you tomorrow. And what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about water, I believe, tomorrow. Take care, happy dieting. Click and subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow.